What's up guys, Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today's video, we are talking about early fall transition. Yes, you heard me right. I want you guys to think about it early because it happens quickly. More often than not, you find yourself missing your awesome summer topwater bite. It just vanishes. Where do those fish go? Today we're talking about my favorite baits, where these fish are going, and how to prepare for it. Let's go. We're out here this evening on Chickamauga. Got my son back here in the back fishing. It's a beautiful night. But the other night, I actually thought I might need to put a sweatshirt on. And that is key. As soon as these nights start getting a little bit cooler, that is when these fish start to vacate where they've been all summer, and overnight, seemingly, you lose your summer topwater bite, you lose your summer patterns, and these fish just turn into ghosts, and a lot of anglers get lost, including myself. Where the heck do these fish go? Why? And how fast, right? So again, it's early. You know, it's still low to mid 90s here in the daytime. We are starting to get a little bit cooler nights, some cooler mornings, and that starts that transition. You know, out here on the Tennessee River, it's all about grass. You know, that for us, we're about ready to get an awesome, epic topwater bite, frog bite, all the way through November. But depending on where you are in the country, November, heck, you're probably ice skating on your lake, or you know, if you're out on the West Coast, you might not even have water in your lake. It's so bad right now out there on the West Coast, just seeing how low those reservoirs are and the water levels. You know, that affects those fish. They pull out, they suspend. But today's video, just wants you to start thinking about this process because it is gonna happen quickly. Like I said, as soon as those, it doesn't matter about the daytime temps, right? They could be the same. Low, mid 90s, out on the West Coast, you know, high 90s, mid to low, you know, 102, 103, stuff like that. That doesn't matter. As soon as your lows at night start dropping, it gets a little crisp in the air, you feel like you need to put a sweatshirt on or a hoodie, that is when these fish start to move. Now, where are they going? Now, typically, summer fish, we always talk about it, they're split half and half, right? Half stay shallow, half go deep. Half you're catching way back in, throwing a frog, you're flipping, you're punching, throwing weightless worms. The other half, you're out throwing a flutter spoon, a jig, a big swim bait, a deep diving crankbait. You know, those fish have split. Now, this time of the year, it's all about feeding up for the winter. These fish are looking to move. They're gonna start making their transition, following that bait, trying to bulk up and get ready for winter. So it's all about bait balls. It's all about figuring out where these fish can corral the most bait and keep them pinned in a bay or something like that, and they feed up. They feed as long as they can. Sometimes 2-3 weeks you'll find them in the same spot, and then as those water temps get lower and lower, that grass starts dying. Those fish are gonna pull off to the liveliest grass, and then it's all about hard structure. Your rock piles, your points, your hardwood, that sort of stuff, dock pilings. So if you're a shallow fisherman, summer fisherman, you've been on an awesome topwater bite, and seemingly overnight, your frog bite is gone. Look at the nearest hard structure. Or if you've been fishing a lot of grass, now when you're reeling in your bait and you're coming back with that kind of brownish, dark green looking grass, that is not healthy grass. That doesn't produce any oxygen. That fish is leaving that dying grass and it is going looking for new or at least livelier grass. So look for that real bright green stuff. So if you're fishing a big grass mat, you can kind of see it, right? You can see it with your eyes. You can see it when you come back with your treble hooks and you have grass on it. Look for that brighter, greener grass. As you're fishing through an area and it's dead, and all of a sudden you start coming back with some real nice, lively green grass, slow down and pick that area apart, because those fish are gonna congregate right to that. Again, water temps, they're gonna start falling, but more importantly, it's the air temps at night and the length of days, right? It is, I don't know, 7:30-ish, almost bedtime, right? And it is still light out, but it's not nearly as bright as it was a month or so ago. You know, midsummer, it doesn't get dark till, well, here it doesn't get dark till 9:30-ish, quarter to 10, something like that. And now we're really getting those shorter days, and that is the length of days and the lows, the overnight lows, are the two main factors that cause those fish to, just like a light switch, just trigger into that fall transition. Now, kind of talked about the shallow fish. They're looking to school up bait. So if you can find little coves like this, little coves back here that have deeper water, maybe a creek channel or a river channel, some kind of channel, deeper water access close by, hands down, that is going to be the best area to start looking. Start in that deeper water, use your electronics, try and find those fish, and then work your way to the back of that bay, because believe it or not, those fish, just like I got dogs herding cattle, right? They're going to push that bait ball back into the back of that bait up against that shoreline, and they will pin it there, and they will take their turns just unloading on the bait in the back. Now, I'll talk about some key baits to catch those fish here in just a second. The deep fish, again, you're looking for those bait balls. You're looking for birds diving. You're looking for, obviously, fish exploding. But those fish are going to start pulling off the ledges, and they're going to be on the hunt. They're going to be moving around, looking at the mouths of creeks, the backs of bays, the backs of creek channel arms, that sort of stuff. They're on the hunt. Again, they're looking to feed up. They're on the move. So don't slow down if you're fishing deep. Move, move, move. Fish, fish, fish. You know, burn up that water until you find some active, aggressive fish, because those fish are going to school up. And now is the time where you can really find those mega schools and catch 20, 30, 40 fish out of a single school. So you don't want to spend all your time dragging a worm or a jig just waiting for that bite. You're looking for those schools. You're looking for those active fish. Now, again, we're going to do a way more in-depth video on this topic once it really is the fall transition. I just want you guys to start thinking about it right now, because it is here. It's starting to happen. We're a little different with the grass deal here. You know, it's weird throwing a frog in November, but it works here. But like I said before, in some places November, you're not even fishing liquid water, right? It's solid. So you have to ice fish or pick up a different gig, different sport. But so again, we'll do a more in-depth video here shortly on it. Just think about it. I'll link all my favorite baits down below in the video description. I'm going to cover them fairly quickly right now. We'll probably do more in-depth videos on each technique, but I want you guys just to think about it and get ahead of the curve with all the other anglers. You know, baits sometimes are hard to get, especially this time of the year. So get them while you can. So let's talk about the shallow fish first. I'll give you some key baits, and then we'll talk about the deep fish, and we'll wrap this video up and get him to bed. So right now, like I said, shallow fish, it's all about that grass. You know, I've done this video. We do these seasonal videos like clockwork every year. So some of this will be new information to a lot of you guys. We're gaining so many new subscribers every month. Some of this you guys have probably seen, but it'll be a good refresher. Hands down, my favorite bait to fish up shallow subsurface around grass is going to be a square bill. Now this is the biggie. You can see that it's kind of that abalone shad. I went ahead and threw that, that's that VMC hook with the blade on it. Just a little bit extra flash. But again, a crankbait, square bill, you're working this thing aggressively. You're popping it as you tick the tops of that grass. You know, again, you're looking for that green, that lime green, lively looking stuff, and you're wanting just to tick the tops. If your bait gets loaded up in the grass, pop it through, rip it through, and you will find that those fish just annihilate that square bill as you're coming through the grass. You know, you're burn, 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 pause, burn, 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 just like we talk about speed cranking with the deep cranks. Pop it, pause it. You know, this thing's swimming, right? You're swimming, 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 pause, it starts to back up, boom, that's when those fish eat it. So a square bill. Now, I'm gonna keep it simple for you guys. I like to have a square bill that is silent, and I like to have a square bill that has a single knocker in there or some kind of sound. Typically, I will start off with a silent crankbait. Just a preference for me. Got one right here for you. Colors wise for baits, it's gonna be shad patterns, bluegill pattern, baitfish patterns, or some kind of craw pattern. Lucky Craft 1.5, silent. This one right here is an awesome little bait. Little bit of a knock, but check this guy out. This is the Jabberjaw. We've talked about it a little bit. It's kind of a combination of a bladed jig and a square bill. Has that real good hunting action, and that blade vibrates, moves back and forth. But a square bill, getting that bait up there in that shallow grass, ripping it through, getting those fish to commit. Obviously a frog, I don't need to talk about a frog too much because you've already been fishing a frog all summer long in the grass. Whopper, plopper, popper, your favorite topwater baits. Easy, but again, whoa, you guys see that? He almost hooked me. I don't need to talk about topwater baits because you guys have been fishing them all summer long. But another bait, two other baits up shallow that are gonna be staples in my arsenal right now. Chatterbait. Again, how do you talk about a shallow grass fishing video without talking about some kind of chatterbait? Obviously, the jackhammer kind of set the, raised the bar and set the standard for all other chatterbaits to be measured to. And then I don't leave the house without a soft plastic jerkbait. Again, you can fish this slow, you can fish it fast, skipping it. I have that rigged on a twist lock, kind of a beast hook, or that's not a beast. I'll link it down below in the video description. But it's a heavier wire, heavier gauge hook, so it adds a little bit of weight to that bait, and it gets down in that grass. Again, you can work it fast, skipping it over the top. But that's it. You know, topwater baits, frogs, square bills, chatterbaits, and a jerkbait. I mean, that's money. That's going to be my lineup all the way through, trying to keep keep those shallow fish going. You know, they're going to be blowing up. They're going to have that bait corralled in the back. They're going to be going, blowing up on that stuff. Now, I will say it can be very frustrating, especially when there's bombs going off all around you and you can't buy a bite. If that happens, try slowing down. Try going with a little smaller bait, maybe a smaller frog. You know, for us last year, that little Kyara, that Jackal Kyara is a real small frog. Even the smaller bullywah was awesome just because they were keen in on that smaller bait. All right, so kind of blew through that. Let's talk deep real quick. It's fairly simple. I always say that, but got the cicadas joining us again tonight. Again, if you're covering water, you're looking for those mega schools, it's really hard to beat a 10XD or some kind of Magnum deep diving crankbait. You know, that category, you're looking 20 to 25 foot on your baits. You can trigger those fish into eating. You know, we've talked about triggering those fish, really tapping into their predatory instincts, right? So a crankbait, just like the square bill, you're burning it, you're working it, it's down there diving, deflective, moving all over. This time of the year can be really, really fun when those fish are schooled up and you're catching them every single cast, sometimes 2 at a time on a deep diving crankbait. You know, the 10XD, the Azuma, that new one, the Big M by Megabass, that thing gets down super deep. I think it's a 7.5. I'll link them down below in the video description. As far as colors, I keep it very simple. Baitfish, obviously, right? Shad or bluegill patterns, typically a shad pattern. I will go chartreuse and blue for your stained dirty water, and then I'll go with some kind of craw pattern. Really, really simple, guys. You don't have to break the bank. You don't have to get a ton of colors. Really, really simple. Some other great summertime to fall transition. You're going to use them all through fall too. Crankbaits, your 6XD, your 5XD, obviously our tactical DD crank. There are some really good crankbaits on the market, and like I said, we'll do a video, a more in-depth fall cranking video. I promise you, I'm sure. So deep crank. I almost forgot to mention this one. The DT series. I actually have it rigged up on my boat and wasn't going to talk about it. The Rapala DT series, DT 10, 16, 20. It's really cool. DT stands for dives too. Depending on your depth. Gentle, bud. Depending on your depth, obviously you adjust your crankbait, but great colors. I went ahead and upgraded the hardware like we teach you guys to. But cranking, you cover a lot of water. Again, you're finding those active fish. Once you find them, that's when you slow down. You pick them apart with the flutter spoon. In my opinion, that's the best bait to mimic a dying bait fish. You know, as these fish are schooled up under a big ball of bait, you know, as those little guys are, typically it's the little guys that are up top blowing up on the bait. As that wounded bait or dying bait falls through the school, those big fish are down below that bait ball just waiting, feeding on the dying bait fish. So in my opinion, the flutter spoon, as this flutters down through that school, it mimics a dying bait fish very, very well. Now again, you found the school, you've cranked them, you've thrown the flutter spoon. 2 more baits for you, then we'll wrap it up real quick. Some type of tailspin. This is the Daracoup. I love that bait. Caught so many good fish on it last year. Comes in a lot of great sizes, all the way up to 1 ounce. So you can fish them fairly quickly down through those schools. But a tailspin really, really shines when you have those fish in the schools and you need to pick them apart. You know, the flutter spoon, it's kind of a bigger profile, bigger meal. That tailspin, you can catch a lot of fish throwing that. And then one other bait. Got it down here for you guys. Little blade bait. Catch those fish down on bottom. Again, shad colors in all these. Shad, baitfish colors, and then you know, if you need to go with a craw pattern, you can go with a jig. But again, I like to throw those fast-moving baits. So if I'm throwing a jig, it's typically going to be a heavy jig, 1/2 ounce, 3/4. Something that I can pop and let it fall, get real aggressive with that stroking the jig. But guys, hopefully that simplified it for you. Just want to get you guys thinking about that fall transition, because it happens overnight, happens really, really quickly. Want to get you guys the baits so you have them all the way through to that fall time, because fall fishing is a ton of fun. The transition can be a little hard, a little tough at times. Those fish can just disappear on you in a night, seemingly. So don't get overwhelmed. Think about it. Hopefully you guys have, you know, we've been doing this video now for several years. We do these seasonal transition videos just so you guys can follow along that seasonal transition. Hopefully you guys have been watching for a while and you've kind of built up a pattern on your fishery, and you know where those fish were summertime, where they're going, and you can just make those steps with those fish and catch them all the way through. Like I said, we'll do in-depth videos on most of these topics later on this year in that fall time, but I just wanted to get you guys thinking about that fall transition. Hopefully you guys learned something from that video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you guys have any questions, please leave those down below in the comment section. I will try to get to those as soon as possible. But as always, guys, thank you for the support. Thank you for watching. Again, if you learned something, hit that like button. Remember to subscribe to our channel. We do 3 videos a week like clockwork. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and now extras. You know, we're doing additional videos all the time. So again, thank you guys so much for the support. We appreciate you. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Have a good one.